Pacific Data Images was an American computer animation production company that was bought by DreamWorks SKG in 2000. It was renamed PDI DreamWorks and was half of DreamWorks Animation SKG, Incorporated, the public company formed by merging PDI and the feature animation division of DreamWorks. History. PDI was founded in 1980 by Carl Rosendahl with a loan of $25,000 from his father. He was joined in 1981 by Richard Chuang and in 1982 by Glenn Entis. Richard and Glenn wrote the foundation of the in-house computer animation software that was to be used for the next 2 decades. They started work on 3D software at the end of 1981, and 3D production started in the fall of 1982. The initial goal of the company was entertainment using 3D computer animation. By the time PDI reached its 25th anniversary in 2005, it had completed over 1,000 projects and grown to over 400 employees. In January 2015, DreamWorks announced they were shutting down the studio. 1980 Euro 1987, early years the first computer at PDI was a DECP DP11/44 with 128 kilobytes of memory. This was a lot of memory given that the computer had only 64 kilobytes of address space. It had a 20 megabyte disk. Attached to this was a $65,000 frame buffer which had a resolution of 512 and was 32 bits deep. The first 3D image rendered at PDI was done on March 12, 1982. The image was simply a 4x4x4 grid of spheres of varying colors. The spheres were not polygonal, they were implicitly rendered and were fully anti-aliased. The resulting image was 512 by 480 by 24, which took 2 minutes to render. The PDP-11 was soon replaced by a DEC VAX-11 780ths and later PDI shifted to another supermini computer called the Ridge 32. This machine was €4 times faster than the VAX-11 780ths at a fraction of the cost. The original in-house software evolved into a large suite of tools which included a polygon scan line renderer, an interactive animation program, an animation scripting/scene description language and a lighting tool. All of these tools were written in C and deployed on a variety of machines running various flavors of Unix. The initial investment to start the company was $250,000, about $600,000 in 2005 dollars. Its original offices were in Sunnyvale, California, working out of a garage owned by Carl's father. PDI moved to its first real offices in 1985, to its second offices in 1995 and to its current location in Redwood City in 2002. The growth of the company was financed solely through profit. The company was run as an open book. Monthly financial reviews were shared with the entire company, and a detailed monthly financial report was released. Money was never taken out of the company, which maintained a 7% investment in R&D. PDI was debt-free when acquired by DreamWorks in 2000. This was quite an accomplishment for a low-margin service business with a lot of risk. PDI's first client was Rede Globo, Brazil's largest TV network. This gave PDI the major client they needed to fund the building of most of the early software. This also sent PDI into the business of TV motion graphics and logo animation. PDI designed some early show openings and other special projects for Rede Globo. The software written was also given to Rede Globo and is the only time the in-house software was given to another company. The contract ended in the mid-1980s, but Rede Globo continued to use the software for many years. Most of the 1980s was spent creating broadcast graphics for most television networks around the world. PDI was working concurrently for ABC, CBS, NBC, HBO, Cinemax, MTV, VH1, TNT, 9 Network Australia, Sky One and Showtime. PDI focused on direct-to-video production as opposed to film output being done at other early studios. PDI modified the interface to a Sony BVH-2000 using parts put together from a trip to a toy store in order to do single-frame recording. All the rendering was done on fields at 60 or 50 frames per second. PDI controlled a large percentage of this market during this time, and they were really the first mass producer of computer animation. 1 year producing 2 major networks graphics packages meant specifically rendered images for over 400 local television stations. Some of the early production contracts included Globo, Entertainment Tonight, ABC Sports 84 Olympic Promos, and NBC News. PDI planned and proposed a feature-length CG animation film in 1985, but they were unable to raise the funding needed to produce it. While not the first computer graphics studio founded, PDI was the longest-lasting. It outlived all the other studios which existed in the early 1980s. Of many reasons for this, one is that PDI never went into significant debt by purchasing expensive hardware. While other studios purchased or leased supercomputers, PDI only bought cheaper hardware, treating it as a commodity which would soon be replaced, enabling lower operating costs. 1987 Euro 1990, transition equals. PDI's early focus was on network TV productions since they captured over 50% of that markets in 1985. However, in 1990, PDI introduced the digital film scanning process. This process was used to popularize automated rig removal and image touch-up. PDI was also instrumental in introducing performance animation for theme parks, ads and movies. This started with a project for a real-time performance character for Jim Henson Productions. During these years of transition, PDI moved away from the motion graphics market and focused their attention on commercials and 3D visual effects for feature films. Notable among the commercials was the first Pillsbury Doughboy created in CG. Pillsbury was the first company to move an established icon to CG. Before this, all previous animated commercials were done with stop motion. Other notable commercials include the Bud Bowl, and Scrubbing Bubbles spots. Early in the 1990s, Thaddeus Bayer and Sean Naley developed a method for morphing that resulted in a much more natural and expressive morph. This technique is called feature-based morphing. PDI used this technology to create various well-known sequences, including the Exxon car into Tiger morph and the extended morph at the end of the Black or White music video from Michael Jackson. These morphing jobs were very easy to do with PDI software, and the effect was in high demand. The algorithms invented by Bayer and Naley were published at the annual SIGGRAPH conference and are now the basis of most image morphing tools. For many people, their first exposure to these algorithms was the SGIRIX software called Elastic Reality. PDI broke into the feature film visual effects business with contributions to Batman Forever, The Arrival, Terminator 2, Toys, and Angels in the Outfield. At the time, the strengths of PDI included character animation, lip sync, rendering effects, the aforementioned rig removal and cleanup, and performance animation. During this era, PDI transitioned from the Ridge 32 computer to SGI workstations running IRIX. They were not alone in this transition, as most of the industry followed suit. 1990 Euro 1995, character animation equals. Early in 1990, Tim Johnson and Rex Grignon officially formed PDI's character animation group with the mandate to develop a group of artists with the creative and technical skills needed to produce a feature-length CG animated film. The group originally consisted of Johnson, Grignon, Ramon Hui, Glenn McQueen, Beth Hofer, Dick Walsh, Karen Schneider and Eric Darnell. Under the auspices of the group, PDI's commercial character animation skills grew and numerous notable short films were produced. Among these are Gas Planet, Sleepy Guy, Bric-a-Brac, Gabler the Great, Fishing and Fat Cat on a Diet. This character group set the company off in a fun new direction that set the basis for development goals during this period. The shorts were a way to develop animation techniques as well as being a test bed for software and pipeline procedures and flow. PDI has always allowed animators to pursue individual products and shorts. This has produced several award-winning short films in this category. Some of the more notable productions are Opera Industrial, Chromosaurus, Cosmic Zoom, Burning Love, and Locomotion. By 1992, PDI was seriously looking for a partner to produce feature-length animated films. PDI's first CG feature was planned in 1985, and Hollywood was still not ready to say yes. PDI landed the last Halloween TV special, which won them an Emmy Award for the CG characters in the otherwise live-action special with Hanna-Barbera. This turned into PDI's first 3D character animation pipeline in 1991. Using this pipeline, they did a 3D stereo Daffy Duck for Warner Brothers and a CG Homer and Bart Simpson for the 1995 The Simpsons Halloween episode Homer 3. The result of all these projects was, finally, a movie deal with DreamWorks SKG in 1995 to make the movie Ants. At this time, DreamWorks purchased a 40% share of PDI. Glenn Entis left PDI for the game industry in 1995, first joining DreamWorks Interactive as CEO. When Electronic Arts purchased DreamWorks Interactive, he moved to their Vancouver office to set up their next-generation games research group. He is a founding board member of Los Angeles Digital Coast Roundtable, and is chairman of the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences. 1995 a Euro 2015, feature films PDI's first feature film Ants was released by DreamWorks Pictures in 1998. This was followed by Shrek in 2001. After the success of Ants, in 2000 Carl Rosendahl sold his remaining interest in PDI to DreamWorks. PDI was renamed PDI DreamWorks and continued to operate as a standalone business unit. Rosendahl left PDI in February 2000 to become managing director for Mobius Venture Capital, a board member of iVast, an MPEG-4 software company, and several other Bay Area technology firms. In May 2001, this sale essentially united the two studios, PDI and DreamWorks, into a single entity which went public a few years later as DreamWorks Animation. PDI stopped making commercials in 2002. The PDI studio was now known as PDI DreamWorks. Animators at PDI worked on projects based at the PDI studio, but also assisted in DWA projects based in the Glendale DWA studio. In 2008, Richard Chuang, the last of the initial three, left the company to pursue his own ventures. On January 22, 2015, PDI DreamWorks completely shut down as part of its parent company's larger restructuring efforts. Animated films. PDI DreamWorks has produced many box office hits with Ants, Shrek, Shrek 2, Madagascar, Shrek the Third, Madagascar, Escape to Africa, Megamind, Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted, Mr. Peabody and Sherman and Penguins of Madagascar. With $441.2 million in domestic box office ticket sales, Shrek 2 is currently the sixth highest-grossing animated film of all time in the United States. PDI won their only Oscar for Best Animated Feature Film for Shrek in 2002. Technical awards. PDI DreamWorks has won 7 Scientific and Technical Academy Awards. The first was awarded to Leigh Dittert, along with others, in 1994 for work in the area of film scanning. The second was awarded to Carl Rosendahl, Richard Chuang and Glenn Entis in 1997 for the concept and architecture of the PDI animation system. This award in particular recognized their pioneering work in computer animation dating back to the founding of PDI 17 years earlier. Nick Foster was given an award in 1998 for PDI's fluid animation system, and in 2002 Dick Walsh was given one for the development of PDI's facial animation system. In 2010, Eric Tabelian and Arnold Lamollette were given one for PDI's global illumination rendering system first used on Shrek 2. This was the first use of global illumination in an animated feature film, a technique which is commonplace today. In 2013, Lawrence Kestlut, Drew Olbrich and Daniel Wexler were given an award for PDI's lighting tool, called Light. This tool was developed for PDI's first feature film, Ants, and is still in use today at PDI and DreamWorks Animation some 25 films later. In 2015, Scott Peterson, Jeff Budsberg and Jonathan Gibbs were awarded for the studio's foliage system. This system was first used on Shrek and continues to be used today. At the same ceremony, Carl Rasch was awarded along with engineers from HP for his part in the creation of the Dreamcolor monitor. PDI Productions. These short films were side projects primarily shown at animation festivals. They were done between the paying jobs. Teddy Bear Maelstrom, Chromosaurus, Max's Place, Cosmic Zoom, Opa Copyright Raw Dustel, Burning Love, MTV ID Competition, M Spring, Locomotion, Slideshow, Frankie and Johnny, Happy Dog, Gas Planet, Big Smoke, Sleepy Guy, Bric-a-Brac, Gabler the Great, Basic Insect, Millennium Bug, Fat Cat on a Diet, Fishing, Metropopular, Sprout. Notable short projects: The Jim Henson Hour, Body Wars, The Mind's Eye, The Last Halloween, Muppet Vision 3D, Wild Palms, The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 6, Marvin the Martian in the Third Dimension, Michael Jackson's Ghosts, Cyberworld, Shrek 4D, Father of the Pride, 2011 Kids' Choice Awards. PDI DreamWorks Productions, Ants, Shrek, Shrek 4D, Shrek 2, Madagascar, Shrek the Third, Shrek the Halls, Madagascar, Escape to Africa, Merry Madagascar, Shrek Forever After, Scared Shrekless, Megamind, Kung Fu Panda Holiday, Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Penguins of Madagascar. PDI DreamWorks Production Franchise, Shrek, Madagascar. Feature film visual effects, Electric Dreams, Scrooged, Ghost, Solar Crisis, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, The Last Boy Scout, Free Jack, Sleepwalkers, The Babe, Lethal Weapon 3, Batman Returns, Cool World, Mo Money, Captain Ron, Toys, Lorenzo's Oil, RoboCop 3, Cliffhanger, Dennis the Menace, Rookie of the Year, Heart and Souls, Freaked, For Love or Money, Carlito's Way, Lightning Jack, Beverly Hills Cop 3, Angels in the Outfield, True Lies, Airheads, Natural Born Killers, The River Wild, Double Dragon, Speechless, Batman Forever, Bushwhacked, Broken Arrow, Executive Decision, The Arrival, Eraser, Batman and Robin, A Simple Wish, The Peacemaker, Forces of Nature, The Out-of-Towners, End of Days, Supernova, The Road to El Dorado, Mission, Impossible 2, X-Men, How to Kill Your Neighbor's Dog, The Legend of Bagger Vance, The Deep End, The Mexican, Evolution, AI, Artificial Intelligence, Minority Report, People I Know. See also, Pixar, Rhythm and Hues, DreamWorks Animation. References. External links, official website, Pacific Data Images at the Internet Movie Database.